Hi, I'm Roger Dooley, and first I want to thank the folks at Hotjar for making this possible. I really enjoy connecting with folks. I wish we could do it in person, but we'll try and simulate the in-person environment as well as we can here today. I want to tell you about my dog. We've had him for about 10 years. He was a rescue. These days, he's getting kind of older. He doesn't seem very motivated most of the time. His favorite hobby is taking naps. But there is one thing that really gets his attention, and that is food. When there's food involved, he is right there. So I decided to conduct a little experiment. This is a regular dog food bowl. This is a slow feeder bowl. It's designed to slow down dogs who eat their food too quickly. And this is a treat ball. It makes dogs work for their food because they have to roll it around and shake it and squeeze it to get the food out. So I decided to see how long it would take him to consume a meal in each of these. It took only 29 seconds, about half a minute in the regular bowl, 5 times as long, 2.5 minutes in the slow feeder bowl, and in the treat bowl, it took about 20 times more effort, almost 10 minutes to get all the food out of it. Now, you might think he'd be aggravated by this, but he doesn't really seem to be bothered. In fact, the key takeaway from this is that in every single case, he ate 100% of the food. It didn't matter how hard he had to work for it. He was so motivated by this food that he ate it all every time. Now, the problem is your customers are not dogs. Friction changes behavior. That's the underlying principle in my recent friction book, and it changes the behavior of your customers. And it's based on something called the law of least effort. Our Nobel Prize winner in behavioral economics, Daniel Kahneman, said that there is a law of least effort that applies to both cognitive and physical effort, and that basically people are pretty lazy. And something in the same vein, only put even more simply, our other Nobel winner, Richard Thaler, said, if you want people to do more of something, make it easier. Seems like a very simple thing, but a lot of us don't get that. One group of companies that does not get that, at least some of them, are traditional banks. I've got some brand new data from a study just conducted a week or two ago that shows there's different effort involved with different institutions, with the fintech firms, the newer digital firms, typically being way lower in effort than the traditional banks. Peter Ramsey, a user experience expert from the UK, found that the number of clicks required to set up an account, he actually set up accounts at about a dozen different banks, varied by as much as 5 times. The one with most clicks was 120 clicks just to set up an account. And similarly, the waiting time to use the account varied tremendously. The fastest institutions only took 2 or 3 days before he was able to use the accounts that he set up. The longest one, HSBC, a typical old line bank, took 36 working days. Imagine spending a month and a half waiting to use a bank account that perhaps you opened because you had a check to deposit. That's crazy. Now, I'll contrast this with Amazon. Back in 1998, Amazon patented one-click ordering. A lot of people didn't think that that was even possible. Barnes & Noble, their main competitor at the time, because Amazon was selling books, implemented a similar process on their website. Amazon sued them. They got locked in a big court battle. Amazon spent millions of dollars to defend their patent, and they won. And what did they force Barnes & Noble to do? They had to add an extra click. Now, Amazon was not the only company to see the value of saving even one single click. At the time, Steve Jobs was launching Apple's new music store, iTunes. They didn't try and fight the patent. They didn't try and work around it technically. Instead, they paid Amazon $1 million so they could use it too. I decided to see what would happen if my pup was presented with all 3 choices at once. In other words, he could decide which one to do first. So I divided the food up, and I bet you know what's going to happen. Sure enough, he goes for the easiest one first. And after that, he goes over to the next easiest one, checks for any more easy stuff, and then finally carries the most difficult one off to work on in the other room. Even dogs prefer easy. We know how high his motivation was, but even he chose the easiest path first. So remember, friction changes behavior. If your customers have an easier choice, that is the path they will take. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed this.